The gentlelady, the Vice Chairman of the committee, my good friend from Iowa, Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank all the witnesses for coming forward to testify today, and it's always an engaging subject taken on here for some time. I'd like to first go across the spectrum of some of the issues. It seems as though, as I read through some of this testimony and listen to other oral testimony, that there's a need for some clarification. And I want to lay out this, my level of consistency with regard to the approach with the Constitution and the law and the rule of law. And the consistency is this. The terms used by Mr. Rodriguez, what is it about illegal? They don't understand. Illegal immigration is intolerable to a free society. It violates the rule of law. It undermines an essential pillar of American exceptionalism, which is the rule of law, and it undermines our respect for the rule of law as a civilization, as a culture. If we lose that, then there won't be as big a reason for people to leave other countries and come here. And I cannot understand why anyone would seek to recreate the very conditions that were the motivation for them to leave. I will stand on the rule of law in every circumstance I can. Second one is, I believe in a tighter labor supply. I believe that labor is a commodity, and it may not be exactly tradable on the board of trade like corn or beans or gold or oil, but it's a commodity, and the value of it is determined in the end by supply and demand in the marketplace. If people seek to market their skills in an organized fashion, in a legal fashion, they have a complete right to do that. And if they seek to market their skills by improving them and individually marketing them, they have a perfect right to do that in this country. And we need to enhance those conditions so that this nation once again becomes a meritocracy. That is another thing that has attracted people from all countries on the planet to come here to the United States. And it's one of the big reasons why we have skimmed the cream of the crop off of every donor civilization in the world. They came here because we had the rule of law and because we've been established a meritocracy. Today we've devolved down into a welfare state, which complicates this discussion considerably. But a tighter labor supply improves the wages, the working conditions, and the benefits for everyone involved in the labor market. And so in order to tighten the labor supply, we need to close the border. And we need to shut down the jobs magnet. We need to ensure that legal workers are the only ones working here in the United States. And there needs to be an extra benefit to American citizenship. It needs to be precious, and it needs to be a reward for having earned it, not something that's granted carte blanche because of somehow there have been so many lawbreakers that we don't have the will, apparently, to enforce the law. I am not for mass roundups or deportations in that fashion. I believe that local law enforcement, when working in cooperation with federal law enforcement officers, will do a fine job when they encounter individuals for other reasons. And if we're not willing to face the concept of deportation, then let's not go through the charade of thinking we're going to enforce any other immigration laws. Then I want to point out also that the idea of equal opportunity is something where I have significant solidarity with Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. He asked for equal opportunity. He didn't ask for special privileges. And I believe that every race, every ethnicity has the innate ability to compete in a free and open society with equal opportunity. And we do a disservice to anyone whom we give special privileges to because they don't have to compete then. They get handed something that otherwise is precious because it's been earned. So that covers some of them. Then noticed that Mr. Henderson spoke to the effort of some to amend the Constitution, specifically the 14th Amendment. And you'd be glad to know, Mr. Henderson, that I stepped into that discussion because I thought a couple of United States senators had gone a little too far in their discussion about the need to amend the Constitution and the 14th Amendment to put an end to the anchor babies issue. Somewhere between 340,000 and 750,000 babies are born in this country to parents who are illegal. And that creates an unnecessary magnet that further undermines the rule of law. There's a clause in the 14th Amendment that says, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. If that clause has meaning, then I contend Congress has the authority to repair that situation of anchor babies without having to amend the Constitution, but do so by statute. And I would go further and say we should look at our society and see what we have here in this country. There are vast parts of America where things work right, where people live generation after generation. They educate their children, they get jobs, they live with the hope that there's a future for them in the neighborhoods that they grow up in. And I work to see to it that every generation has that chance in every neighborhood. But I don't see that opportunity in every neighborhood. There are different cultures that have risen, partly because the federal government has turned this into a welfare state. If you look at the reservation system in America, and I represent 2 of those and have now for 14 years, and there's a situation there where there's a dependency that's taken some of the most independent people in the world and put them into a dependency situation. And we've seen that replicated in the inner cities, in the major cities of America, with the same results. We have to turn this culture around, and it needs to be one that respects the honor and the dignity of work, one that is focused on the quality of our lives and the underpinnings of American exceptionalism, but one that also a broad formula that addresses this. We should be working to increase the average annual productivity of all of our people. If we do that, we increase their dignity, their independence, and their standard of living. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I didn't come to a question, but I would yield to the chairman, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr.